Hello and welcome back to Spanish from Scratch. If you've been watching my videos, thank you very much. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I hope you learned something useful today. Today's lesson will be the continuation of the Pretérito Perfecto in Spanish. In the last video, we learned how to say things like I have been living or I have lived in Mexico, I haven't visited Tokyo, I have been to Disney, etc. And we learned the regular conjugation for this tense. In today's lesson, first we're going to be looking at the irregular verbs in Spanish, or the most common irregular verbs in Spanish, and we are going to learn how to talk about periods of time and dates where actions begin. After this lesson, you will be capable of saying things like I have been living in Mexico for 10 years, or I haven't seen my brother in 8 months. So without any further ado, let's jump into the whiteboard. Okay, so as usual, we are going to begin looking at the whiteboard and looking at some examples of the phrases. Example number 1. Fernando ha trabajado en Telmex por 5 años. Let's repeat that one more time. Fernando ha trabajado en Telmex por 5 años. So we have Fernando. Fernando will be the subject, and a, as we saw in the last video, will be has. Fernando has trabajado. Fernando has worked. So far, this is exactly the same as in the previous video. Fernando ha trabajado en Telmex por 5 años. So, por 5 años, for 5 years, is the period of time in Spanish. When we talk about months, years, decades, etc., we need to use the word por. So it's Fernando has worked in Telmex for 5 years. One more time. Fernando ha trabajado en Telmex por 5 años. Vanessa ha hecho ejercicio desde que era niña. One more time. Vanessa ha hecho ejercicio desde que era niña. So, Vanessa ha hecho. Vanessa has done exercise, ejercicio, desde que era niña, since she was a girl, a little kid. So, when we talk about the period of time, we say por 5 años, por 30 años, etc. When we talk about when the actions began, or the date of start of the action, we use the word desde. Desde stands for since. So it's since she was a girl. Desde que era niña. Now, let's take a look at other examples, now in negative. Yo no he visto a mi familia en 8 años. One more time. Yo no he visto a mi familia en 8 años. So, the no, we saw that it will be before the auxiliary, okay? We say, yo no he visto. I haven't seen a mi familia. Now, when we have a negative sentences, we don't use the word por. Instead, we use the word en. So we say, I haven't seen my family in 8 years. Yo no he visto a mi familia en 8 años. So this will be the period of time in negative. Let's say, Rodrigo no ha viajado desde 2020. One more time. Rodrigo no ha viajado desde 2020. So, Rodrigo will be the subject. Y decimos, Rodrigo no ha. Rodrigo hasn't viajado, traveled. Rodrigo no ha viajado desde 2020, since 2020. Again, we have desde to indicate the date of start. Since, desde. Now, in the previous lesson, we practiced the regular conjugations. In this one, we are going to practice the irregular conjugations. So these will be some of the most common verbs to use that are irregular. Let's start with hacer. Y decimos, hacer, to do, hecho, done. Otra vez, hacer, hecho. Decir, to say, dicho, said. Otra vez, decir, dicho. Escribir, to write, escrito, written. So one more time, escribir, escrito. Abrir, to open, abierto, opened. One more time, abrir, abierto. Ver, to see. Visto, seen, like in the Terminator movie. Hasta la vista. So we say ver, visto. Poner, to put. Puesto, put. So in Spanish they change, okay? It's like when we say I have put, we say yo he puesto. Volver, it's to go back or to return. And we say volver, vuelto. One more time. Volver, vuelto. And the last one is morir, which is to die. And we say morir, muerto. It's die, died. Morir, muerto. There are many other irregulars, but these ones are the ones that we will be using more often, okay? Now, let's take a look at some example sentences. Now, as I have mentioned, guys, I work online as a Spanish teacher, and this is the platform I work at, Verblin. So, I could say, yo he trabajado en Verblin por 2 años. I have worked in Verblin for 2 years. So we have he trabajado, I've worked, and the period of time, por 2 años, for 2 years. But I could also say, yo he trabajado en Verblin desde 2020. One more time. Yo he trabajado en Verblin desde 2020. I have worked in Verblin since 2020. Vemos este. Also, I am a Japanese student, so I could say, Eduardo ha estudiado japonés por 3 años. Eduardo has studied Japanese for 3 years. One more time. Eduardo ha estudiado japonés por 3 años. But we could also say, Eduardo ha estudiado japonés desde 2019. One more time. Eduardo ha estudiado japonés desde 2019. So Eduardo has studied Japanese since 2019. Let's go with this. This is my nephew on the picture. And I could say, no he visto a mi sobrino en 7 meses. One more time. No he visto a mi sobrino en 7 meses. Entonces, yo no he visto, I haven't seen, a mi sobrino, my nephew, in 7 months, en 7 meses. Or, no he visto a mi sobrino desde enero. One more time. No he visto a mi sobrino desde enero. I haven't seen my nephew since January. Also, I am from Venezuela, but I live in Mexico. So I could say, no hemos ido a Venezuela en 8 años. Talking about me and my family. We haven't gone to Venezuela in 8 years. No hemos ido a Venezuela en 8 años. Entonces, no hemos ido, we haven't gone to, a Venezuela in 8 years, en 8 años. Or, no hemos ido a Venezuela desde 2014. One more time. No hemos ido a Venezuela desde 2014. We haven't gone to Venezuela since 2014. Now, let's practice with this poster. Just let me move myself over here. And now, we'll have these subjects. We have yo, ella, and ellos. And now, let's take a look at the actions that all these people have done or haven't done since different dates or for different periods of time. For example, let's repeat in here. And let's say, yo he vivido, I have lived, he vivido en México por 16 años. One more time. Yo he vivido en México por 16 años. Ahora diría, yo he estudiado japonés desde 2020. Remember that with years and dates, we say desde. Yo he estudiado japonés desde 2020. Also, I am a salsa instructor, so I say, yo he bailado salsa por 9 años. One more time. Yo he bailado salsa por 9 años. So I've danced salsa for 9 years. And now we have a negative one. And I say, yo no he ido a Venezuela en 8 años. One more time. Yo no he ido a Venezuela por 8 años. Now let's talk about her. We say, she has worked in the hospital since 2017. Ella ha trabajado en el hospital desde 2017. One more time. Ella ha trabajado en el hospital desde 2017. Let's see if you can do it. Remember that these ones will be negative, the next one. And let's say, she hasn't had a boyfriend in 5 years. You have 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we say, ella no ha tenido novio en 5 años. One more time. Ella no ha tenido novio en 5 años. Now, let's go with this one. We say ella and hacer, to do, ejercicio, to do exercise. And let's say she has done exercise for 10 years. Come on, guys. You can do it. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we say, ella ha hecho ejercicio por 10 años. One more time. Ella ha hecho ejercicio por 10 años. Let's go with the next one. Negative. And let's say, she hasn't traveled since 2020. Come on, guys. We say, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ella no ha viajado desde 2020. One more time. Ella no ha viajado desde 2020. Now, let's go with ellos. Now, let's say that they, and we have ser novios, that is to be boyfriend and girlfriend. And we say they have been dating or they have been boyfriend and girlfriend for 8 years. We say, ellos han sido novios por 8 años. One more time. Ellos han sido novios por 8 años. Now you do this one. And let's say they have lived in Canada since 2018. Come on, guys. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And let's say ellos han vivido en Canadá desde 2018. One more time. Ellos han vivido en Canadá desde 2018. Now let's say they have known each other since high school. Since junior high school is secundaria. So they have known each other since junior high. I'll give you 7 seconds for this one. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we say, ellos se han conocido desde la secundaria. One more time. Ellos se han conocido desde la secundaria. Remember that when we have reflexive verbs like conocerse, we will put that se all the way back before the auxiliary, okay? Se han conocido. And junior high is considered a date, not a period of time, okay? So we say desde la secundaria. And for the last one, we have they, and let's say that they haven't had an argue. In this case, we say the word discusión in 6 months. So they haven't had an argue in 6 months. Vamos. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we say, ellos no han tenido una discusión en 6 meses. One more time. Ellos no han tenido una discusión en 6 meses. So it's that easy, guys. We just need to remember if we are talking in negative or affirmative, we say por or en. When we are talking about the date, we say desde. Okay? Now, when we ask questions about this and we want to ask how long have someone done something, we can have this question. Let me move myself. The first question we can ask is ¿por cuánto tiempo? Okay, now por cuánto literally means for how long. So let's repeat. ¿Por cuánto? And we say, ¿por cuánto tiempo has vivido solo? How long have you lived alone? It's also very, very common to omit the word tiempo and simply say, ¿por cuánto? For example, ¿por cuánto has trabajado aquí? How long have you worked here? Let's repeat that one more time. ¿Por cuánto has trabajado aquí? How long have you worked here? So we could ask things like, how long have you studied Spanish? ¿Por cuánto has estudiado español? How long have you lived in the US? ¿Por cuánto has vivido en Estados Unidos? Or how long have you practiced karate? ¿Por cuánto has practicado karate? Remember that this has, por cuánto has means have you. How long have you? Por cuánto has. And then we'll put the verb. Vivido, trabajado, cantado, practicado, etc., etc. Now, por cuánto is one option, and the other option to ask is with the word desde. And we can ask, ¿desde cuándo? Literally, since when? So we say, ¿desde cuándo has vivido solo? Since when have you lived alone? One more time. ¿Desde cuándo has vivido solo? Or ¿desde cuándo has trabajado aquí? Since when have you lived here? One more time. ¿Desde cuándo has trabajado aquí? So this will be the ways to express this in Spanish. You can either say por cuánto or desde cuándo. Now, the following questions will be for you guys. Tell me. ¿Por cuánto has estudiado español? One more time. ¿Por cuánto has estudiado español? How long have you studied Spanish? ¿Desde cuándo has vivido en tu ciudad? Since when have you lived in your city? And you can ask me in the comments any questions you have about me, for how long or since when I've been doing everything that I do. And that'll be it for today, guys. How was it? Too difficult? Too easy? Let me know in the comments. Just remember, the regular verbs have no rules, guys. We need to just practice them and memorize them, and over time they will become more easy for you to use. I promise that. Now, just remember, when talking about periods of times, always use for or in, por or en, depending if the sentence is negative or affirmative. When you're talking about the date of the start of the action, you use desde. And that way you can express how long have you been doing activities or how long have you been without doing something in Spanish, okay? If you found this video useful, please consider to subscribe to my channel or to share this video if you know someone who is struggling with this topic or is studying Spanish and wants to improve. Also remember, guys, I'm a full-time online Spanish teacher, so if you're interested in taking private lessons, I will put my teacher's profile in the comment section of this video. So I will be seeing you in the next one. Bye bye.